Hi everyone. In today's video, we will see how to create column selector in Oracle DB. So those who have worked on OBI, EE or OAC Classic would have worked on this functionality at some point or other in their respective projects. For those who have not worked on it, they will see how to create this functionality in this video. So for this demo purpose, what I have done is I have already created a data set with the name attrition. So this is basically giving insights into employee attritions. Now let's start creating a workbook. So before we start creating the what you say the parameter over here. So in the new release of OAC, you see a new option over here, that is parameters. You you can relate it to it with the session variable. There are certain seeded session variables that you see in OBIE RPD. So these default parameters, you can relate to them as those session variables. Now, before I start creating a column selector, let me just brief you on what I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to use one metric, that is number of companies worked for, and I'm going to select certain attribute fields. So for example, let's say I select job function, educational level, educational field, and job role. So in a traditional reporting setup, what you do is you slice and dice the metric by the different attribute fields that you have. So if you see here, I have a metric, and there are different what you say attributes which I can select in the filters to slice and dice this data. Now using the same filters, I mean basically using the same fields, I'm going to create a column selector for the understanding purpose. So let's go to parameters. I'll create a new parameter, that is the column selector. I'll name it as column selector. I'll change the data type to text. I don't want multiple values. So I have basically nullified this parameter that you see over here. Then in the possible values, I'll select value. So here you need to basically give the names that you want to appear in your column selector dropdown. So I'm going to give the same name as the name I have for my selected columns in the filter over here. Then the next is educational level. Then the next is education field. And the last one is job role. Then you have to give certain default value that need to appear when somebody navigates to that respective column selector or the drop down or particular visualization. So a default column I will select as job role. With this done, I'll click on OK, and my column selector is set up. Now the next thing I have to do is I have to create a custom calculation. So for the custom calculation, let me name it as column selector only. I'll have to drag my column selector in the calculation. I have to give the default value as job role, like I have done when I created a column selector. And this will be a case statement. So I have given a case command when the value that is coming from the drop down is job function, then select the column as job function. When the drop down value is educational level, then I want educational level column to be selected. When the column from the drop down is education field, then I want education field to be selected. And when the drop down is job role, then job role need to be selected. And I'm ending the case statement. I'll validate this. This is validated correctly. I'll save it. Now I need to start building the visualization that will use the column selector. So the first thing I have to do is I have to take this dashboard filter, and I have to pass this column selector in the filter control. I'll remove the number of companies worked for. If you see in the drop down, there are multiple values available. Now there are, if you see, it is allowing me to select multiple columns, which I don't want. So I'll go to column selector, I'll edit it. And I have basically changed, change this parameter. If I click on OK now if you see, it is not allowing me to select multiple values. Now with this done, let me edit and duplicate the visualization. I will drag this visualization below the column selector, and I'll change the visualization type to bar chart. Now in the bar chart, I need to select column selector as my x-axis and the number of companies worked for as my metric. So I'll select it in the y-axis. Now if you see a number of companies worked for, it is showing by job role. Let me duplicate this visualization and I will select a different type, let's say tag cloud, and I'll probably color it by number of companies worked for. Okay. Now, if you see, it is showing number of companies worked for by job role, but in the labels, you still see column selector. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to change the title. So currently, if I click on this visualization, and if I go to title, it is auto. So let me put a custom and let me add a simple command parameter. In the quotes, I need to give the name of my column selector. So because I have kept it as column selector, so it will remain as is. Now, if you see, it is showing number of companies worked for by job role. Similarly, here also, let me change the title, make it to custom. And I'm adding @ parameter into the brackets, name of your column selector. Great. Similarly, let me click on the grid lines here, and I need to ensure that here on the x-axis or on the axis where you are showing the attributes, the name of the column selector should appear. So let me change it, make it custom. Let me put it @ parameter. So I'm doing the same thing that I did at the title level. And now if you see on my label axis, it is appearing as job role. Let me just save this. Column selector. Okay, so if you see in the column selector, I have selected the job role, and the two visualizations that you see at the bottom is reflecting the number of companies by job role. Now, if I switch to job function, automatically the information that is displayed in the bottom two visualization is changing. If I change to educational level, you see that the information in the two visualization at the bottom is changing automatically. So this is the feature or the beauty of column selector that you might find useful in lot of requirements when you deal with the end users. I hope you enjoyed this short video on how to create a column selector in Oracle DB. If you have any questions around it, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you.